Hello friends, I'm Dr. Rajendra Thigle and welcome to my channel Edu Support. So particularly this channel and particularly even I do the podcasting. So I'm podcaster also, and I used to podcast or vlogs on the different topics, different issues as far as this education is concerned particularly. Okay, so definitely you visit to my even podcast channel. That is what Talk Time with Dr. Rajan Thile. Okay, so my dear friends, in the last podcast we have discussed about the concept of pedagogy. So in that particular episode, we have learned about the meaning of pedagogy, andragogy, and heutagogy particularly, and then we have concentrated on the teaching process, and there are n number of things which we are doing in the teaching particularly. So there are different elements in the teaching process, and now we must, as a teacher or as a student teacher, we must know about what should be done in that particular thing. Okay, so there are different kinds of elements, and you have to analyze those things. That is complicated process, and if you are analyzing it into different elements at that time, definitely you will be able to concentrate on each and every element and why is it important particularly. So to enhance the quality of teaching particularly, you have to concentrate on different kinds of elements. So my dear friends, try to find out different elements of teaching process particularly. uh, if you're bifurcating it into two, or you're categorizing it into two, at that time definitely you will find there are two major elements. One is you may categorize it into biotic factors and abiotic factors, like that. So in abiotic factors, particularly physical factors, infrastructure is there. So might be you are concentrating on the classroom size and the different kinds of facilities, physical facilities which are there in that particular classroom. For example, ventilation, whether ventilation is there or not, whether light arrangement is proper or not, whether different kinds of fixtures, you need different kinds of furniture, you need blackboard and the teaching aids and ICT and etc etc. So if you are categorize it into, you're analyzing it into two elements as such. For example, the physical factor and the biotic factor, you can call it as human factor. So in human factor, yes, definitely a human being as a teacher is there, different students are there. Okay, so these two things, two living beings, they are present in the classroom particularly. But yes, you can think about all the stakeholders which are there, all the beneficiaries. Definitely you can talk about the where you will find the management is there, different staff which they are helping to you particularly. For example, supporting staff is there. For example, principal and supervisor or such kinds of menial staff is there particularly, who are looking after that particular quality. Okay, so when you are thinking about the analysis, then why should you do analysis? That is the first and foremost question in front of you, that first of all try to find out the different elements, because there are n number of elements and there are connections in between those elements. And yes, definitely they are interlinked with one another. It's a kind of chain like thing. And yes, this process, definitely it should have certain kinds of relation in between them. So might be they are related, might be they are correlated, might be there is certain kinds of contrasting things, might be there are certain kinds of resemblances, or you can compare the things like that. So connection is there definitely. Okay, so why should you definitely know about the there is requirement of analysis. So first thing is that I told you, you can categorize into two, such as biotic and abiotic. Okay, and if now you are adding one of the elements in that, what is that? That is process particularly. So mind well that what is going on in the class particularly, how is it going on in the class, what is the different steps or stages or phases of those processes particularly, what are the inputs or the input things are there particularly in that, what is the output, and how should we run that particular process. Okay, so that is very essential. So, to enhance the quality of teaching, one must understand what are the elements first. If you are knowing the elements, then definitely what should be the quality of that particular thing. For example, if you are giving certain kinds of rating scale to that, so if you are rating it, for example, 1 2 3 4 5 5 point rating scale you are using, so definitely you'll try to enhance the quality as far as this physical factor is concerned. Example, so whether benches are there in a proper fashion, whether that that is correct one, might be there are plus kind of benches or minus kind of benches, or neutral, you can call it as neutral kind of benches are there even. So whether the student is getting some kind of comfort level on those particular benches, whether they are able to observe the things properly, what is so that is what you can call it as a arrangement of the students, the sitting arrangement you can call it as. Okay, ventilation must be very good so that they can comfortably learn the things. So to enhance the quality of learning process, this is the only one factor which we have just now discussed about the physical factor. As far as the teacher is concerned, particularly, there are two kinds of human beings. One is the teacher, and the others they are the students. So in the classroom setting, particularly, if you are concentrating only on a teacher at that time, definitely you can think about the how should teacher behave in the classroom, what are the ethics, what should be the code of conduct of that particular teacher. Yes, definitely he must be update in his particular subject. Knowledge updation must be very essential. Then his methodologies or the teaching styles, definitely that is very important. Because even if now the second part in the process, particularly if we are talking about the process at that time, there are different kinds of styles of teaching. For example, teaching is important or whether learning is important. On the basis of that, we can divide it into two, such as teacher centered methods and student centered method. Okay, so whether the teacher is having autocratic kind of leadership, autocratic kind of teaching style, or teacher centered style, particularly is applying in his classroom, or whether he is a democratic kind of teacher, whether he is thinking about the students and all. Okay, so might be he is thinking about the learning process mostly. So that is what the child centered methods or student centered method or learner centered methods, what we can call it as. Okay, so my dear friend, in this particular small podcast, I wanted to emphasize on only there is a need of analysis. And see, the pedagogy is a very vast subject as such, so you have to analyze the pedagogy. It's not, you can call it as a, it's a pedagogical analysis. Pedagogical analysis, you can use it in different subjects. For example, pedagogical analysis of biology, or pedagogical analysis of life sciences or physical sciences or physics, mathematics, like that. That is a different kind of thing. But you have to analyze the process of pedagogy itself. Pedagogy is a vast terminology. For example, here you have to set certain goals, objectives, or targets, or aims must be there. And then definitely teaching process is there. What is, we can call it as a direct instruction in the classroom. And later on, you have to definitely think about the assessment tools and all. Okay, so my dear friends, on this particular short note, we are just taking a small kind of break. Thank you so much for watching this particular video.